What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the single player Let's Play. As promised, there's a lot of stuff down here that I have left that I need to do, so I kind of wanted to get started addressing some of that stuff. So, canopy diminisher for the tree farm. This is one of those things that I kind of want to get done, and I don't know exactly how I'm going to accomplish it, but I think we're going to start with the tree farm and then move here. The problem with the canopy diminisher is that I'm pretty sure, though I'm not perfectly sure, I'm pretty sure that one of the problems we're going to have with it is that the canopy diminisher is not going to work quickly enough to keep up with the speed at which I imagine the farm I'm going to make will work at. So I wanted to get started with some Ender IO stuff. You can see the farming station here is not a terrible recipe. Alright, so with the farming station, we have a few things that we can do from here. I'm going to take advantage of you could call it an exploit. It really isn't particularly, but it sort of is. And it's going to involve me getting bit in the butt, because remember how last episode, maybe the episode before that, but I'm pretty sure it was last episode, I was like, I tore down and threw away my smeltery because I don't need it anymore. I need my smeltery, and I threw it away. I didn't even keep any of the contents, which was not smart. So, yeah, smooth. The farming station here is going to require a few things. It requires power, a capacitor of some sort, and then a replenishing supply, if necessary, of hose, axes, and or shears / tree taps, etc. You can put a tree tap in here, I think. The upside here of the way we have things laid out is that we can set everything up pretty easily. There we go. That's what I was looking for. And we can go ahead. The reason this took so long to break, I think, is because I didn't wrench it. I don't know. You're acting weird now. Strange. So, yeah, it's kind of one of those things, though, that we can kind of sort of halfway spoof some of the recipe parts of the, or some of the active parts of this. We're going to want to go with tinkers. There's this thing called the, oh goodness, what is it called? Reinforcement? Reinforcement. This reinforcement, if 5 of them are applied to a tool, the recipe here, you can see, isn't too terrible. It's just any cast and then obsidian. But oh, I didn't throw it away. Sweet. Good. I thought I threw it away. So you can use the reinforcement to make a tool unbreakable if you have 5 of them applied. We have plenty of obsidian last time I checked. Yeah, we have some obsidian. That's actually not as much as I had hoped for. We'll need about 80 of that 100 and something, so we'll run out eventually. But we do have cane, and so we can use the sugar cane to make a bunch of paper. We're going to make about 63. And we're going to actually need to get into the Tinker's Start, which is something we never really did. We went into a different mod for starting out in Tinkers. So this will be a little bit interesting just because of that. So we're going to want to get started with a few things. We're going to want to start out with plenty of blank patterns. And then we'll want to do I have any crafting? Nope. Okay, so we'll just do plank. We'll need a crafting table, and then we'll need a stencil table. I probably already have chests. I think I made a bunch of them. We'll need one of these, and we will need a log. Alright, very straightforward. So we're getting started with the Tinker stuff, at least as if we were going to play with it, although we're really not going to do a lot with it. And as a matter of fact, I'm just going to make a teeny tiny little smeltery because we don't need a lot of stuff inside it. We'll swap out one of these. Because essentially, all I'm going to need is a casting table and a bunch of aluminum brass. And we can make more aluminum brass, if you don't remember, by using aluminum and copper. It's a 3-to-1 ratio of aluminum to copper, so you'll need more aluminum than copper. Just remember. But it also smelts really quick. In the meantime, while that's smelting, we can go ahead and plop down a few things that we're going to need for this guy. And I'll keep these things somewhere more permanent later once it actually matters, but for right now I just want to get this set up. So for the stencil table, we're going to want a few different stencils. We're going to want a tool rod pattern. I should move this in a little more meaningful of a orientation. So we can put the tool station there, part builder here, pattern chest there. There we go, that's better. So we're going to want a shovel head, tool rod, tool binding, and an axe head. Alright, so we are working on a bunch of aluminum brass now. We can work that out in the side. So what I'm going to want is a shovel head, 2 axe heads, a binding, and 2 sticks. And if we run over here, we can make 2 different tools. We're going to want to start off... That's weird that this always shows the trash can there. I don't really like it. So we can start off with 2 different tools. We're going to start with this guy, the mattock, and a axe or hatchet. So the cool thing is these have 5 modifiers, and remember how earlier I mentioned that you need 5 of the obsidian reinforcements. So I'm going to craft a few of these. I might actually be shy some, because this uses... Oh no, never mind, it uses 1. I thought it was using 2 for a minute. So the reason this works is that... rather, the reason this entire setup works, not this part, not the unbreaking... none of that. It's the reason that the Tinker's tools work so well with this is that the farmer doesn't actually care about the durability, or rather the break speed of an item or tool. It still breaks everything pretty instantly. And since it's raining, I'll sleep. So, since it doesn't care, then why worry about it, right? So if it doesn't matter how fast it is, then we can use any very slow tool that we may desire to use with no consequence whatsoever. And that is exactly my plan. So we have 10 of these modifiers, and now we can just go through and apply 10 of these. We'll do 5 here. And now you see unbreakable as soon as we apply our 5th one. Right now you see it has reinforced 4. Reinforced 5 is unbreakable. And the same will work for the mattock. And there we go. For now, these are very, very, very slow tools. You can see if I use the hatchet on this guy. This is full speed. Why is there a creeper over here? I swore all the creepers should be out of here. So you'll see this is super slow. That's just the nature of it. It's kind of a interesting way of how this works out. So I'm going to go ahead and tear down this guy and bring it back with me where it was before. And now we're getting close to ready. There's still a few components that we want to work out. So we'll come over here and drop off these 2 extras. And now this time we'll drop off, in fact, a few other things as well. I accidentally middle-clicked sorted that where it was nicely sorted before, but whatever. I'll just leave it be for now. I will come back to it, though. Oh, I forgot to put the blank patterns away. And you know what? The aluminum brass can go down there, too, because we never use that. So, we now have a farming station and a few other things that we need for it. The last components that we need are we need an ender chest, and we need some sort of way of getting power where I want this to go, and we need a place to put this. So here's the problem that I have with the farming station, and it's an interesting problem. anytime it breaks or destroys a tree, it is incredibly laggy, like to the point that it causes my computer to kind of consume itself. It's not great. So my solution is to put this somewhere far enough that it works as far as chunk loading goes, and works as far as the aura goes too. That's an important thing to remember. But does not render the particles, because after a few blocks away, it won't render the particles. So what I'm thinking is that we'll put it probably somewhere around here, but at sky limit. Maybe I'm thinking maybe around here where there's trees already. Not particularly sure, but put it all the way up at sky limit so that it doesn't really affect me performance-wise. But we also want to make sure of a few other little things. So why don't we run down and make sure that the AE network is ready for some of the stuff that we're about to make this endure, because it is quite a lot of resources we'll be getting from this. So we want to make sure that we have void upgrades where applicable. See, we don't have void upgrades on any of these three things, so we're going to want to grab some of those. We're going to want to grab some void upgrades for sure. Do I have what I need? I do. Hooray. So we're going to put voiding upgrades on these three. And we may come back and add more depending on if we decide to change some of this stuff out. On that note, though, I'm going to grab 4 stacks of saplings, because we're going to want saplings. So we can go ahead and configure this thing. It's actually really cool because it will store its inventory. I guess it won't allow saplings until I put a capacitor in there. Well, why don't we get a capacitor? So I'm going to grab a bunch of dirt. That should be plenty. And we're going to look at the capacitors that I have upstairs. At least I think they're upstairs. There should be in here. Yeah, here we go. So we can go and put this guy down and just try a bunch of these different capacitors and see which one gives us the best performance. I'm going to empty my hotbar and just look at the ones that ideally work really great. So that uses 29. That uses 91. There are ways of like determining based off of the tooltips which one's the best and whatever, but that's a mod, and that's, if you don't use the mod, then it's a bunch of work. So we have 103. I think this one was 90 something. Yeah, so that one's out. So we had 103, 110. 110 is so far the best one I think we have. So we'll use that one and move on with our lives from there. Now, we have that, we have the dirt, we need an ender chest and a way to get power up to this guy. Now, my form of getting power around is going to be through an RF Tools object. My way of getting power around will be through an RF Tools object that we haven't used yet, and that is a power cell. Power cells are really great, and I think we should maybe have prismarine. We do, so we can make the normal power cell. There's a cheap version and a normal version. Do I have anything else required here? No, I do not. So we can go ahead and grab, we're going to need 2 tin gears. Alright, so with the gears, we can make ourselves the 2 machine frames I'm going to want, because you want 2 power cells at a time. You always want to pair these up. And we can make 2 power cell link cards as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to hook up these power cells to some point in our network, right? We don't know where we're going to hook these up yet. At least we don't have to make a decision quite yet if we don't want to. But personally, I think this building is one of the more logical places to put it. Or actually, perhaps that would maybe be over here instead, would be the most logical place. So we could put it maybe here someplace, but I'm not really sure where would be a great place. Let's check downstairs and see. I mean, realistically, we could put it right here. We could put it right here. There's really no problem with doing that either. So what we want to do on this one is say all inputs or all sides to input, and that's going to fill up pretty quick. And then we can just put a power cell link card in there, and you see it'll say linked to ID 1, and we can just put another one in there and link it to ID 1 as well. So now if I put this guy in here, they're both going to be the same, and you notice the power doubled because each one of these stores 1,000 or a million. Is that a million? Yes, each one of these stores a million RF, and having two of them means that they store 2 million RF. So you see 1 million, 2 million. And then as soon as that fills up, if I break it again, in the network, basically that one ID only stores a million or 2 million or whatever. Alright, so now that we have a way to get power up there, we just need one last thing, and that is a way to get items back and forth. So we can just grab an ender chest. Cyan. I don't have any cyan, huh? Alright, so that gets us our ender chest. I'm glad I could remember that recipe from scratch. The last thing I want to make real quick is an angel block from extra utilities. This one is particularly useful because it'll let us fly up super duper high and face no consequences as far as figuring out a place to put things. We can just place the block without a supporting block, like so. And it's a pretty straightforward block to use. So I'm thinking we'll put it, let me see, F3G. We can put it here, I guess, ish. Looking at Y level 200. Perfect. So we're going to just build around this guy. Is that the middle? That seems to be the middle. 1, 2, 5, 6 every which way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Great. So what we're going to do, we'll pick up that power cell and we'll put it beneath. We'll set all sides to output, which is important. We want it to output. We'll go and put that capacitor in, and you'll see that that's going to start working that out. And now we should be able to put in saplings. And that'll get started by, I don't know why it's saying no capacitor, no seeds. You have both the capacitor and seeds. Well, it's working either way. Now you notice it's spawning these little ender particles. This is the part that gets laggy, so if it's all the way down, if we're all the way down here, we actually won't even notice it. Oh hey, a shooting star. It keeps saying no capacitor, and I'm not sure if this is an issue. Eventually it should take that out. Like, it should knock out that tree, no problem. Okay, now it's working for some reason? It might just be really slow, which is good, actually. If it's this slow, then I'm okay with that. Yep, and there we go. It just took out those trees. Whatever. But you see, it is not damaging these at all, and whatever saplings it gets, it'll try to replenish its internal buffer first, and then it'll get around to working the rest of its way out. So I'm going to take some time real quick to clean this up, make it look a little better, and I'm going to clean these up too using Architecture Craft, so I hope you enjoy that quick montage. So one realization that I came to was that I would really like to have a way of making sure I only give that farm so much power that will help it slow down the frequency at which it chops down wood, meaning that we can kind of keep up with it better on the Nature's Aura side of things. But more importantly, in my opinion, we can just make sure that we don't run into issues with running out of energy. So what we're going to do is look at making an energy cell. These aren't usually that terrible. We'll just grab some lead, and let's see, what else do we need? We should be good for everything else. Looks like that part's fine, so we just need a lead gear. And so I'm going to start off with just making a simple leadstone energy cell and moving up from there. So there we go. It gives us our energy cell. That's going to start stealing from our flux duct. So what we'll do is we'll come in between here and we'll break the power cell here. And we'll tell this guy to fill up top and bottom. And we'll set the output down to just maybe, we'll do 50 RF per tick. But yeah, so I'm going to finish coming up with something for that guy, and then I will be back. I think I'm just going to go with maybe ironwood. I think ironwood would be a pretty block to use. I don't use it a ton anymore, unfortunately. I just haven't really needed it lately. So I might play with ironwood, maybe some slopes of ironwood, depending on... So it looks like all sides pick the log side. So that's actually ideal for me. We'll pick up a few stacks of these, maybe a few stacks of these, and definitely some of these. I'm thinking... Yeah, I think it is this one. I think the way this works is it does this. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. It kind of connects if you have others adjacent. That's pretty cool. So yeah, okay, gonna start building up and stuff. Alright, so now that we're done with that, we should look into making the herbivorous absorber. So we need bottled sunlight and some other miscellany. I think most of that we have over where it needs to be. So let's go ahead and do herbivorous absorber. We need 3 infused iron and a bottled sunlight. And I already have the peony. Pretty sure we have everything else over here. In this little chest I put over here. There it is. So we needed that. And is that all we needed? We needed 3 infused iron. Let me refer to the books. By the way, I switched from expanded inventory. It was a neat mod, but I just am so accustomed, and this is nothing wrong with the mod at all. I'm just purely accustomed to oh, it's the canopy diminisher, not the herbivorous absorber. Canopy diminisher. Probably a different recipe. Actually, not that much different. So, but yeah, I just thought I'd point out that I changed over to a mod called Improved Backpacks. It's got an upgrade system. The backpack recipe was pretty straightforward. Each one of these tiers, you basically just die, and then you have tiered backpacks that you can add upgrades to. It's a pretty straightforward system of crafting, and I quite like it. But it definitely is nothing special. Rather, not nothing special, but it's exactly the kind of thing that I need and what I like. Natural items? No, where is it? Uh-huh. I'll just look for it here. Does it not have its own entry? Where the heck is it? Maybe it's in the natural altar? Yeah, here we go. So it's just iron. I thought so. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't anything else. So we needed 2, and then we need... What else do we need for this recipe that I don't already have? We just need some saplings. I need another bottled sunlight, which is no problem. And then I need bone meal. Funny, I just tossed 2 bone meal because I only needed 1. And now I could have used those. Because I'm trying to avoid having extra item types in my AE network where possible. Because it's a waste of item types. It'd be a different story if we were using refined storage, of course. So we'll grab another bottled sunlight, and then I'll come over here, make 2 more. So now, let's see. We can grab this stuff. I think we should be ready for a canopy diminisher. Hooray! Hopefully that checks something off somewhere as well. Adept hopper, huh? Adept hopper creates the ability to filter items traveling through hoppers with ease. Okay, that is cool. So what we're going to do is, since this is up here in the same chunk... By the way, I hope you like this design. I actually really liked it, considering the awkward shapes I was working with. Like, it's hard to come up with a cool pattern and maintaining slopes at the same time. Like, it's a bit difficult. I'm just going to lumber all of this, because I can't see. Do you have power? You barely have power. You need more power. But here's what's going to happen. I'm going to put this guy down here. Excuse you. We're going to place a light source on top. And so I think, let me reread this and make sure that I'm right. Canopy diminisher. Blah, 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 blah. Placing it close to an area that oak trees are growing in at almost 10 blocks away from them cause only normal blocks to grow. In the process, the additional natural energy of saplings that were grown into turns into quite a substantial amount of aura that will be fed into the environment. Oh. I assumed, and I shouldn't have. Whoops. The flip side to that is, yay, we're getting aura. You can see it up in the upper right-hand corner. You can see aura around is kind of going up a little bit. Not too terribly quickly, but somewhat. And that is all in part to that. Now, it does seem to spread vertically, which is a downside. I was really hoping that that would just reach down here on its own, because there's no way that I can keep that up there. But that's okay. We can look into other tree chopping options if we need to, because having a high aura up here doesn't really help me in particular. But also having a tree farm down low definitely hurts me in particular, so not really sure. I'm going to go provide a little bit more power over here, because unfortunately it seems like I just can't quite meet the necessary power levels for this guy. I'm going to set you to 200, and hopefully that's enough. I mean, 200 RF per tick for a farm is pretty, I'm not going to say bad, but that's pretty bad. Pretty expensive. There we go. Now it's actually keeping power. Now, I'm going to read about aura again, because I want to say aura conceptually. Okay, so reading into this, it seems as though there is the possibility that this will trickle down. The aura from here will eventually possibly trickle down. I don't necessarily know about that for sure, but from what I was reading, it did seem to give me that idea. So we'll see. I don't know if I am close enough, because this is, let's see, if we're at, if we're at the 5th Y level chunk, because we're at Y equals 71, if we're at the 5th Y level chunk, and that was 200, and that was at the 12th, that was at the 13th Y level chunk, that's like 8 chunks it has to spread down to. I don't find the possibility of that happening to be very high. I don't personally think it's going to trickle down all that much. But it may, who knows. So I think we're actually going to look into wrapping up the episode here. It's been a decently long one, at least for me, trying to record it and stuff. And we can clear off this, because I think for now we're good. We'll re-explore, of course, every now and then when there's an update. I'll obviously come back to Nature's Aura pretty regularly. But I think that'll be commonly enough on my mind that I'll remember to go check on it. So I will see you guys in the next episode.